Biblical Foundations for Freedom. Join Reverend Paul Bucknell as he ministers to pastors in Nigeria and Kenya in June of 2009. Paul left Pittsburgh and flew direct flight over to Lagos, Nigeria, and then took a short flight over to Benin City there in Nigeria before the seminar began. Reverend Godstime has a great vision and passion. Not only does he focus on building up a library and the Bible Institute that he's in charge of, but he cares for the poor around his home area outside the city. They're building an orphanage here to care for about 80 to 120 children. Probably about 60% of them are orphans. The parents have died for one reason or the other. That 1 week, because one set of parents died because they didn't have money for medicine. This is Reverend Godstime's father who's going to take care of them 24 hours a day. I asked them about help. He said, well, they don't have any money right now for anyone to assist them during the night or day. His father is already caring for these children, 80 children, so teaching them during the day. Well, his Reverend Godstime's asked me, can you help provide a well for this orphanage? Right now, many of the children get sick because of the well water they get from the street, which they have to purchase. They always like to take good care of me. Here they try to give me noodles because I've been working with Chinese people for 30 years, and they won't serve me their cassava, which they like to make there right in their own place, their specialty. Our car broke down from the airport to the place I was staying, and the next day, though, we started being very busy all of a sudden, and being escorted perhaps in a way that I wouldn't want. We actually hosted 2 seminars. One was a one-day course on the whole book of Romans. The second was on marriage, and we invited the wives to come, and they really appreciated a lot of positive feedback and helping them to know how to have a better marriage. We went over the series, Building a Great Marriage.
About issues, things that are happening in your life. Now, a man might say, well, I'm the one that makes decisions. I will say, that's true. It's true, the husband is responsible in the final decision. But if God has planned to give you a special helpmate, do you think you can make wise decisions apart from her?
You'll notice in the 2 clips here that it was raining very heavy at that time, and a number of people had to move to alternate places so they didn't get soaking wet from the rain. But overall, we had great weather and a wonderful seminar, about 200 people here, double the expected attendance.
In that case, I slow down even more. Why do I slow down? Because I could at that point say, well, if she cannot express what she's saying, then clearly it's not important. I don't do that. At least I've learned not to do that. Why? Because I am seeing what she is saying is prompted by God to help me clearly think about it and take time to see what's in her heart. It's like we just treat her as a slave or as a body, which we can do away with and find another. But when we begin to value her opinion or her thoughts, it brings a deep down security. I'm important to him. You see how you're laying the seeds for a great marriage. Because the great marriage is built on trust. And the trust comes through that communication, which our husbands often neglect. But it's actually the key by which you become key team players in accomplishing God's will together.
After speaking at the graduation, I was whisked off to the airport and began my long journey over to Kenya. I first had to return to Lagos and then take a flight to Nairobi. I traveled overnight and arrived early on Sunday morning at 6 o'clock and joined in the early worship service, and the next day began another seminar. Nairobi is quite different, lots of different sights and scenes. I was staying in the middle of a big city and went through the heavy, dense traffic in Nairobi each day. After we traveled for about 20 to 30 minutes, we went outside the city, and most of the people live in the slum area. Roads are not paved, very rough and difficult driving, if not impossible in places. It's amazing how many people live out in the slum areas, as well as how many churches are there reaching out to these people who are desperate in many different ways. I'm just really thankful to see this. And Reverend Morris himself, along with Ministries, also has an office there as well as his own home. I really appreciate Reverend Morris here and all his volunteer pastors who worked along with us, taking care of everything. This is the church where we had our pastor seminar. I really appreciate being able to have a big place. Each time I attend one of these seminars, I again appreciate the great need these pastors have for materials. We spend about $1,000 for each seminar and providing some free materials for them. They really appreciate it. Here we're just giving a simple gift to a bishop that hosted this without cost in his church. This seminar had about 300 pastors altogether. I was really deeply touched in my heart how God used it in a surprising way to bring peace among pastors. They were expecting about 100, but God was bringing them together in a very special way where they put away their hostilities. God broke them down, gave them a vision of the church and what God was doing in and through their lives, so that they could put away their small issues, their personal issues that they were facing. Not only this, on the last day, we also were particularly working with some training these individual pastors to work along with these other pastors and helping them to know how to use the flow through the training manual. Again, we're providing some free material here. Well, this is the closing of the ceremony. Listen to these brothers sing. I've been asked to come back next April in 2010 to about 3 or 4 different places in Nairobi there. Many seminars with different groups. Please pray for me as I make decisions like this. I thank the Lord. He gave me grace to be able to get home smoothly after one day delay. And really appreciate all the trips here. Thank you for your prayers and your financial support. It means so much to me, but even pastors, the leaders, and eventually the churches themselves.